Have you ever felt a tug on your heart, a call to do something big, something that seemed impossible? That's what Nehemiah felt. He was an ordinary man with an extraordinary vision. The Bible tells us his amazing story, a story that transcends time and culture. Nehemiah was moved by the plight of his people and the ruins of Jerusalem. He knew that rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem was not just a physical task, but a spiritual mission. It was about restoring hope and faith in a community that had lost its way. This story is about the power of faith and teamwork. It's a story that still speaks to us today, urging us to look beyond our limitations and see the potential for greatness within us. Nehemiah didn't do it alone. He rallied the people, inspired them, and together they achieved the impossible. This story reminds us that with God, all things are possible. When we face challenges that seem insurmountable, we can draw strength from our faith and from each other. Nehemiah shows us that even when faced with overwhelming odds, we can overcome them. His determination and unwavering faith were the catalysts that brought about a miraculous transformation. We find strength in our faith and power in working together. When we unite with a common purpose, our collective efforts can move mountains. When we trust God and join hands with others, miracles can happen. Nehemiah's story is a testament to the incredible things we can achieve when we believe in a higher purpose and work together as a community. So, let us be inspired by his legacy and remember that no dream is too big, no task too daunting when we have faith and teamwork on our side. Nehemiah was a man of deep faith, serving in the palace of a powerful king. He held a prestigious position as the king's cupbearer, a role that required both trust and loyalty. Despite the opulence and grandeur that surrounded him, Nehemiah's thoughts often drifted to his homeland, Jerusalem. He was a man of integrity and compassion, deeply connected to his roots and his people, but his heart was far from the luxury of the court. The splendor of the palace could not distract him from the suffering of his fellow Jews. He longed to see his people free from distress and his city restored to its former glory. The contrast between his comfortable life and the hardship faced by his people weighed heavily on his soul. News reached him about the plight of his people in Jerusalem. The message was grim. The city walls were in shambles, and the inhabitants were living in constant fear of attack. This news struck Nehemiah deeply, stirring a profound sense of urgency and responsibility within him. He knew that something had to be done, and he felt a divine calling to act. The city walls lay in ruins, leaving them vulnerable and afraid. Without the protection of these walls, Jerusalem was exposed to its enemies, and its people were left defenseless. The once proud city, a symbol of their faith and heritage, was now a shadow of its former self. This devastation was not just physical, but also spiritual, as the broken walls mirrored the broken spirits of its inhabitants. Nehemiah's heart broke for his people. He could not ignore their suffering, and the burden of their plight became his own. His sorrow was profound, and he felt a deep empathy for their struggles. This empathy drove him to seek a solution, to find a way to bring hope and restoration to his beloved city. He wept, fasted, and prayed. Nehemiah turned to God, seeking guidance and strength. He knew that the task ahead was monumental and that he could not do it alone. His prayers were filled with tears and earnest pleas as he sought divine intervention for his people. He fasted, showing his deep commitment and willingness to sacrifice for the sake of his mission. He poured out his heart to God, confessing their sins and pleading for mercy. Nehemiah's prayers were not just for himself, but for his entire nation. He acknowledged their collective failings and asked for forgiveness. His prayers were a testament to his faith and his belief in God's power to heal and restore. He was relentless in his supplication, demonstrating his unwavering trust in God's compassion. And God, in his infinite love and compassion, heard Nehemiah's prayer. The divine response was not immediate, but it was certain. Nehemiah felt a sense of peace and assurance that his prayers had reached the heavens. He knew that God was with him, guiding him and providing the strength he needed to undertake the daunting task of rebuilding Jerusalem. This divine assurance fueled his determination and gave him the courage to move forward, knowing that he was not alone in his mission. The king, noticing Nehemiah's sadness, asked about his troubles. This was Nehemiah's golden chance. With God's divine guidance, he found the courage to share his heart's deepest desire to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. The king, moved by Nehemiah's passion and determination, granted him permission and provided resources. Nehemiah set out for Jerusalem, his heart filled with hope and faith, ready to lead his people in this monumental task. Section 4. Bricks and Swords, Courage Under Fire. The work began, but challenges arose. Enemies mocked and threatened them, trying to halt the rebuilding. Nehemiah's response? The God of heaven will help us. They worked tirelessly, day and night, with a tool in one hand and a sword in the other. They faced opposition with unwavering faith and unyielding courage. They knew God was on their side. Section 5. Victory. The wall stands tall. Despite the obstacles and threats, something amazing happened. In just 52 days, the wall was complete. Can you imagine? A testament to the power of faith, hard work, and unity. The people rejoiced. The once broken walls now stood tall, a symbol of their resilience and God's faithfulness. It was a victory not just for Nehemiah, but for the entire community. Section 6. More than bricks and mortar, restoring a nation. But Nehemiah's work wasn't finished. Rebuilding the wall was only the first step. He knew true strength lay in the hearts of the people. He wanted to see their faith rekindled, their spirits revived. He taught them from God's word, reminding them of God's love and laws. He organized the city and established fair practices, ensuring everyone was cared for. He helped them rebuild their lives, brick by brick, just like the wall. Section 7. Nehemiah's legacy, a blueprint for us. Thousands of years later, Nehemiah's story still resonates. His journey of rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem is not just a historical account, but a powerful metaphor for our own lives. In a world that often feels fragmented and divided, Nehemiah's unwavering faith and determination offer a beacon of hope and a roadmap for us to follow. It's a timeless reminder that with God, even the most daunting tasks are possible. Nehemiah faced immense challenges, from external threats to internal doubts, yet he persevered. His story teaches us that no matter how insurmountable our obstacles may seem, with faith and courage, we can overcome them. When we face walls in our own lives, we can find inspiration in Nehemiah's example. Whether it's personal struggles, professional hurdles, or societal issues, Nehemiah's legacy reminds us that we are not alone. We have the strength within us and the support of our community to rise above any challenge. Like Nehemiah, we are called to be people of faith and action. It's not enough to simply believe. We must also act on our beliefs. Nehemiah didn't just pray for the walls to be rebuilt. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work. He mobilized his community, inspired them, and together they achieved the impossible: to trust in God's power, to work together, and to support one another. In our modern world, this means coming together to address the issues that matter most to us. It means building bridges instead of walls, fostering understanding instead of division, and working hand in hand to create a better future, and to never give up on the things that matter most. Persistence is key. Just as Nehemiah faced setbacks and opposition, we too will encounter obstacles, but if we remain steadfast and committed, we can achieve great things. Our dreams, our goals, and our aspirations are worth fighting for. Let us rebuild our families, our relationships, and our communities. In a world that often feels disconnected, it's more important than ever to nurture the bonds that hold us together. By investing time and love into our families and communities, we can create a foundation of support and resilience. Our communities, our world, one brick of faith, courage, and love at a time. Each small act of kindness, each moment of courage, and each gesture of love contributes to the larger picture. Together we can build a world that reflects the values of faith, courage, and teamwork. Let us take inspiration from Nehemiah and commit to being the change we wish to see. With faith as our foundation, courage as our guide, and love as our motivation, we can create a legacy that will inspire future generations.